Welcome everyone to the Happy Hotelier Club, episode 14. Happy Hotelier Club has been conceptualized in January 2020. It's a brainchild of three passionate hoteliers with the purpose of bringing out hoteliers on a common forum for communication and exchange of ideas on industry-related issues, new trends, and practices being followed to enhance business and support each other. It's a perfect place for any hotelier to come together and interact, share, rediscover his own self, and may also be useful for sourcing the right vendors and manpower. Our vision statement is very strong. We want to be the world's first and best platform for hoteliers to provide happier ways of networking, learning, and exchange of ideas. The core team consists of Ashish Gupta. He's the Chief Operating Officer. Ashish, you need to mute yourself.
Yeah. Happy morning to all.
Dheeraj Agarwal, he's a strategist and an IT expert. He's a Chief Technical Officer for HHC.
Hi, very happy morning to all.
Myself, Tarandeep, I'm a branding and a PR expert, and I'm the Chief Demonstration Officer for HHC. Happy morning to everyone. We are very honored to announce that Mr. Himmat Anand and Mr. Girish Bindra has agreed to be on our advisory board for HHC. As you well know, Mr. Himmat Anand, he has been the COO of Kioni Destination Management India and South Asia. He's been the Chief Operating Officer, and he then pursued his decades-old dream. From 2007 to 2010, he was conceptualizing his dream, and he launched Tree of Life Resorts and Hotels in 2010. He operates in 8 locations, and 3 more are scheduled for 2020. He started his career, of course, with the Taj Group of Hotels and then moved to tourism and has contributed to tourism and hospitality since then. We are very honored to have him here for all his advices for HHC to fulfill his vision, our vision. We also hereby announce that Mr. Girish Bindra has agreed to be on our advisory board, and he is a man who's, I think everybody in hospitality knows him, with over 35 years of experience in travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. He's a Vice President Operations at the Surya, New Delhi currently. He's a passionate hotelier and an affable personality. He's a go-to-go guy. You know, anything, any problem you have, he's a people's person. He's completed his general manager's program with Cornell University in 2006 and has won many awards since then. He's a person who would who pampers and who, I would say, he kind of counsels the young professionals, and he's always with them for guidance. He's also a SCOL International Delhi president. We welcome you, Mr. Bindra, on board. Now, the flow of today's episode would be, of course, we'll go through our introductions. The episode discussion will happen till about 1:25, followed by 5 minutes of presentation by our episode partner. We would just request everyone to take a few seconds to like us on Facebook page. www.facebook.com Happy Hotelier Club, please. Just to take you through our journey, we started from 28th March till 16th June. This is our 14th episodes on various topics, which has been of, I would say, concern for the hospitality. And we have tried to get the stalwarts of the industry together for their feedback and value adds in all our programs. If you have missed any of our episodes, of course, you can go through our YouTube channel. Happy Hotelier Club can be typed there, and you can subscribe as well and see all our programs which have been recorded and been notified there. Coming back to the episode 14, I'm very, very delighted to open this forum and start the discussion points. So tourism in the coming months is our topic. We are very honored to have our 4 prestigious speakers. Mr. Anil Ora is very, very senior in the industry, and so is Mr. Pranab Sarkar. Mr. Anil Ora is the Director, Northern India, Ministry of Tourism. and he has been in tourism since 1988. He's worked in various places in India and overseas, and he has been in prestigious positions as regional director for Australasia and Frankfurt and Toronto. He's a man of great experience. He's been with Ministry of Tourism. He's handled many projects. He's been involved with 8 states and 3 union territories in northern India. And he's a person who's also has a lot of hobbies, which we have just recently discovered. He's a health geek. He loves all kinds of adventures, activities. He's a very active part in cycling, running, skiing, trekking, rafting. So I would say he's a adventure by heart, right? So we are very privileged to have him here today, because he'll be actually adding a lot of value and guiding us on what tourism looks like in the coming months. We welcome you, Mr. Ora, for today's panel speaking. We also hereby welcome Mr. Pranav Sarkar. He's the very few people from 1975 when he chose tourism as a specialized subject in his graduation. And since then, he's been in tourism, he's been contributing. He's a founder member of destination management company Swagatam Tours Private Limited, which he established way back in 1986. The main operation of the company is, of course, inbound tourism, meant for bringing tourists from worldwide nations. Mr. Sarkar is currently the president of IATO, which is in Indian Association of Tour Operators, and prior to which he was honorary secretary. He's been associated with IATO for past 15 years and has served IATO in various capacities. We welcome you, sir. I also take the privilege of inviting Mr. Vivek Anand for the day today. He's a country manager, Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority, MTPA, India. His interests include reading. He's an avid follower of cricketer and Formula One. He has had a rich and varied career, right from marketing, advertising, printing, publishing industries spanning over 30 years, and has helped him to grow both professionally and as an individual. And this has made him move into the travel and hospitality business very easily. He loves meeting people, engaging with them, and of course, giving very valuable insights, both professionally and, I would say personally. So we welcome Vivek. We also hereby welcome Renu Kundalia. She's a hardcore tourism professional with a demonstrated history of working in the corporate culture and tourism boards by delivering excellence for every company she's been with. She's skilled with the business strategy, clarity of objectives, and has contributed with various, I would say, out-of-the-box ideas to expand on the tourism flow for the respective countries she's represented in the past. We welcome Renu. Now, I also take the privilege of welcoming our dear moderator, Hitasha Mehra, whom I know for almost a decade now. She's a founder and editor of the Embassy magazine, Travel Jingle, but I would say a travel freak by heart, which made her actually pursue her entrepreneurship journey into the same area of interest, which she's been pursuing for many years. She started Travel Jingles in the year 2017. And before starting her own, she of course had a very strong stint with brands like Times of India, India Today, CNBC, and Hindustan Times. Travel Jingles predominantly is a very niche print magazine which deals with all the embassies in India and focuses on their activities and events. She also does a very interesting thing in her magazine. On the cover story, she does stories related to a particular country ambassador and highlights their focus areas of that month or that year. She's an extrovert who loves her work, and we are very privileged to have her here, and she'll be the moderator for the day today. Welcome, Hitasha.
Thank you so much.
Now, before I hand it over to Hitasha, we just wanted to tell you what you would be gaining from this episode. Future of inbound tourism in India, forecast and situation of inbound tourism in the next 1 year, future planning of tourism in hotspots like Mauritius and Indonesia, promotion of MICE and weddings in different countries, strategies to create positive mind frame in the travelers. So Mr. Ora, Mr. Pranav Sarkar, Mr. Anand and Renu will really contribute to this so that we all have discussion, we go through the discussion, we have takeaways for today. Over to Hitasha now.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Natasha.
So we welcome you to the episode today. So let's start on the discussion points. So Mr. Ora, why don't you share and tell us on the inbound tourism to India? What would you like to tell us about the inbound tourism?
Speaker is fine. Good afternoon, friends.
There is echoing.
I think your Bluetooth is on. If you will switch off your Bluetooth, it will start working.
Okay, 1 second.
Dheeraj, please guide him.
I will switch on.
Please log out from. Sir, are you logged out?
1 second.
So, Mrs. Asha, we can move on to the next question, and meanwhile we'll get back when Mr.
Sure. So if we could just, we would want to check on, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Sarkar, this discussion point is for you. What is the forecast and situation on inbound tourism in the coming next 1 year as per you?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on your forum. And I'm sure your listeners will be benefited after this webinar, and we hope something will emerge as good to hear, because today's date, the is very, very critical at the moment, that we are fighting for our survival, and then comes the revival. And on this basis, this is a totally private sector driven industry, and we are all here to contribute not only for our own people, but also country is benefited. Tourism is one of the biggest economic activity, and all over India people are benefited through tourism activities. So till such time activities are not on, the benefit will not come to the down the line or to the people of India. If you look at as tour operators, the main job of the tour operator is to organize tours. And today's date, there is no takers. Because of the present situation, we are not sure medically how we are going to tackle this. We are totally dependent on the government and how they are going to work out the situation. Though there are some SOPs guidelines by Ministry of Home and Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, but situation yet to open up, because numbers are increasing at the moment, whole of India, and message to the world is not going in the right perspective. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful at the moment, and we have to look areas, where it is green zones, and those states, those cities maybe get ready for the opening up and invite people. But traveling is not easy nowadays. Borders are still a question mark. Quarantine period by each state is different, and flight service is also restricted. International borders are closed. International flights not yet announced when it is going to open up, though there are some guesswork is going on from August. But if we are in the peak time, then it is a very difficult situation. Even if you open up, then people will not be traveling, because health is first, safety is first, before any activity of pleasure or entertainment is taken care. Therefore, the opening up, we have to do it very, very gradually, and people of India has to take care their part of to remain safe. Once you are safe, then only you will think of traveling. unless situation is not good, you will not like to travel any such places. Though there are some restrictions are being given, even if you have to do some gathering, some wedding or any other functions, you are limited to 50 people or so, 20 people or so. Like that, you are not really opening up the things. Though MICE tourism has a very big opportunity, very big opening, but at this situation, the hotels have to come out with the different SOPs and give the confidence. All the state governments also have to come out and say that the confidence building gesture, they have to showcase that we are safe. And how many states will be coming forward in that respect is very, very difficult. They have to announce a date that this is the date we are opening up the tourism. And before that, they need to clarify all the doubts from the minds of the people. Then only it is possible that the people of the people, they will start thinking of traveling. Yesterday, we were having a webinar with the Secretary Tourism Kerala government. There also the secretary was not in position to the date at the moment because they are also busy in receiving the all the stranded passengers from UAE and other countries. So it is very difficult at the moment to say that they were preparing to receive them and then quarantine them and then they will start thinking of tourism. So it is like that. Few days ago, we also had same situation, same webinar from Jammu and Kashmir. There also, they were not sure how they are going to open up. There is no date has been specified, and they are also wait and watching what the other states are doing. So it is a wait and watch. So every fortnight we have to see that what is the situation, how the government is reacting, and it is possible to think about the tourism. In the meantime, we have to keep ourselves ready with the product. We have to keep ourselves ready with the social distancing and SOPs, not only for the hotels, but also for the airports, transport services. And also we have to train our own people, the guide service, so that everything is in place. As soon as situation improves, people start traveling, then only it is possible. And to me, first domestic tourism is going to start. After the confidence level is grown, then only the international people will start thinking. However, internationally also we have to see the source markets, and all the source markets, they are also under pressure of having the same pandemic, and they are recovering. And if they also allow international travel, that we have to wait and watch, because most of the countries, they are opening up for the domestic tourism in their region. And also we have to see the high end tourists, that 60 plus, will they be covered under the medical insurance facilities? Will they be allowed by their country to travel? Because 60 plus are the people who are the luxury segment. And we have to also see the how the state governments are coming up, whether they are coming up with the notification that any tourist coming, there won't be any quarantine. If the quarantine is there, no tourist will be traveling. Besides that, they have to come up with the SOPs for the tourist places, tourist locations, monument areas, safety and security, hygienic condition of their state. So everything they have to come forward and then do the marketing. The marketing is very important part for any sales. Therefore, we all have to be part of it, and tour operators especially, we have to depend on their directives, and then we take it from there and start opening up. That is what I feel. And for me, I think the next 3 months there may be something for us, and after September onward we have to see that how it, and then opening up slowly those states, those areas, then only we will be able to in a position to promote them and invite tourists to come to our country, not only domestic but also international. Slowly international market, I see it is a way beyond next 6 months to 12 months. We have to wait and watch, and unless the vaccination is invented and that is in place, international movement, I feel it will take a longer time to revive. This is what I would say, and keep thinking positive, and we have to be stay in business. We have to stay floating, because we are not generating any business, but still we have to keep our staff engaged, and their salaries, whatever limited way we can do that. And most of us in most of the tour operators are in a great trouble and under the same situation, that how long we will be able to prolong. If it goes beyond certain time, then we have to see the different normals. So under the new normals, let us hope that this tourism is very soon, and we hope for the best, and I wish everyone good luck for that. Thank you very much.
Natasha, Mr. Ora's is back, and his audio is okay now.
Right. So, yeah. So we would want to ask Mr. Ora, would you like to share and tell us about the inbound tour to India? What is your take on this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry, this technique sometimes. As Sarkar sir said, things are still very unpredictable.
I think Bluetooth or something is on at your end. Stop. You switch it off.
One second. I will switch off my. Okay, now it's fine.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I was having the computer speaker. As you asked me about a little bit of inbound tourism. Now, as Mr. Sarkar said, it's very difficult at this moment to predict anything. But we are getting ready. As you can see, the SOPs by HRSCC for the hotels, or by the Minister of Tourism, or by Minister of Home, which is so elaborate and so exhaustive that the confidence among the people who are going to travel, maybe domestic first and then to foreign inbound. So that way, the measures now is unfolding is very on right direction. I had some meeting with the state governments, of few state governments, and there are some positive things they have already planned. Just like, just like I'm telling you an example of Sikkim, that any tourist now coming to Sikkim, they have to buy the tour package, or had the booking of hotel, or had a tour program organized by a tour operator to enter Sikkim. That's the thing. So there is no question of any unwanted or mass tourism by coach or by jeep, anybody from Siliguri going to Sikkim and staying. So that way, they are going to control the number, as well as the sustainability, or what you say, the social distancing, as Government of India has given the order that 50% of the hotels should be used. So that way, Sikkim has a very nice policy, and is to be implemented when the travel is become smooth. Contrary to that, I was just looking at the Uttarakhand's policy. The Corbett National Park has opened, but the tourists from outside is not allowed. Some people from Delhi, they booked that tourist bungalows in National Corbett Park, and they are not allowed. They said, Delhi's people may have this corona or COVID-19, so they are not allowed. So my question is, as Mr. Sarkar rightly said, that within the state framework also, we have to think, because now, as we have already opened the lockdown 1, situation is definitely going in a bad direction. But thing is, we have to survive with this, and the people, as Sarkar said, the 65 plus, of course, they are very vulnerable. But I think the young people or young millennial, you know, the people who are in-house so far within the domestic market, they will definitely travel. And as in my introduction, you said that I do seek some adventure, hard or soft, doesn't matter. So the people like, you know, age of 40s or early 50s, you know, they will definitely go out for this trekking or like, you know, shop rafting or paragliding or anything, because there the mass tourism is not there. Social distancing could be maintained because there is not mass tourism like, you know, Agra or some other places. So that sector, definitely they will come up, not only domestic. I think the international traveler, if it is open next 6 months or 8 months, the young guys will definitely come out of their home and they will definitely go. If you see the Florida or other places, the beach or Spain, you know, you see the old people are not much, but the young generation, young people are on the beach or on the sea coast. So that type of market will definitely come up. All depends on our international flight or visa. I'm telling you that I had some discussion with some tour operator in Canada and US few days back. They were also asking that, Anil, I had a booking in February, March. Still they are on the list that till includes a little bit or group is still intact for India. So there are few tour operators who are having the group for India in January or February. Still they are having intact. So again, you know, like all have to be, you know, as hotel is ready, you know, our other tour operator, everybody is ready. So only thing that the situation by maybe by end of this year, if something comes up, a vaccine, then definitely thing will come into force. I will just share one thing. As alternatively, you know, the Rajasthan has opened the monuments and all, and you can see how many people are traveling in what called Amer Fort and other places, because we know that it's a very risky to go out of the house. But how long you can stay in house also? Like, you know, you can't stay, you know, for 4 months, 5 months indoor without going out. Secondly, I will just try to tell you, you know, like that Mr. Sarkar must have this figure, you know, as far as how much we lost in March 20, you know, March 20, we had about only 3.28 lakh tourists, 3,28,000. Compared to 2019, we had about 10 lakh tourists. So 7 lakh tourists in 1 month we lost because of this COVID, which was like, you know, beginning of the situation in India. So anyway, we are waiting for the March 21. If we can come up with something in between, like, you know, 5-6 lakh tourists, hopefully we and our industry will survive, and we'll keep going. I will just tell you that as I was talking to my headquarter who looks at the overseas marketing, still the overseas fairs, you know, like the big travel fairs are not in the news. Even WTM has not come up with anything so far because of, I think, only for a few months away. So if they have, they will have some virtual thing. And then afterwards, Fitur is also not coming up. You know, ITB Berlin has been cancelled. So, but our office is there, and if there is a MIAT, then definitely India Ministry of Tourism will definitely represent there, and again put the Incredible India flag high there. So that's the thing, and we may discuss many things, but first of all, we have to be very careful about our services. And just like as Sarkar said, that the driver of the cab or porter at the airport or porter or anybody in the railway station, all have to be really geared up for the social distancing and, like, you know, sanitization and healthy practices. So thank you very much, and it's very privileged. Only thing, you in introduction, you didn't introduce me. I am a very good paraglider also. So I did paragliding in Bir Beling, and I want to push this adventure tourism much to the younger generation. So the younger generation goes, and then followed by the young, like, you know, old or so-called not old will follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ora. So next discussion point goes to Mr. Vivek.
Yeah, Hitasha.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about the current situation prevailing in Mauritius and what are your plans to promote tourism in your country?
So Mauritius was one of the first countries to impose a lockdown, and lockdown happened early March. And in fact, the remote testing started happening at the airports in January itself. And thankfully, because of the measures taken by the government,
Mr. Anand, your voice is not audible. It's echoing.
COVID was wiped out of Mauritius about 2 months back.
Vivek,
We
you're
have
not
some cases there, but they are in quarantine. Can you hear me?
Now it's better. Yeah.
Okay, so there is the only cases there are the ones which have come back, the people who have been repatriated. But the good thing is they are not meeting anybody from the airport. They are taken to quarantine centers. In fact, all the people who are repatriated are taken to government quarantine centers. And so it is COVID free. The World Travel and Tourism Council has already issued a certificate to Mauritius last month saying that it is a COVID free country and good to travel. So, having said that, while everything in Mauritius is open, the international borders are not open as yet. So we are waiting for some kind of guidance from the government as to when they're planning to open the borders. But what I can share with you at this time is that the plan is to open the short haul first from countries that are COVID free. So maybe they'll open with Reunion, East Africa, and direct flights also. East Africa will be open. South Africa is not interested in tourism at the moment, and we are hearing that South Africa doesn't want any tourism till end of the year. Then maybe they will open Middle East because again there's a direct flight. I think India, Europe will happen maybe September, October. I don't know. Can't say because the position of India is not very good, and no country will want to get tourists from a country where the spread rate is spiraling. So that is where we are. And in terms of promotion, yes, everything is ready. We had a major ad campaign planned for March, just to capture the peak season from India, which starts 15th April to 15th of July. But due to this unfortunate situation, everything is on hold. Yes, but as soon as we open, we plan to have a major campaign. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it was a good discussion point we've actually had from the three panelists here. So now I would put in a question to Renu. Renu, are we audible to you?
Yeah, I am there.
Can we push on to the other slide, please?
Not.
Taran, can we push on to the other slide, please?
Yeah, so the next question is similar. It's related to Indonesia, right? So just pose the question to her.
Okay, so why don't you share your points on your plans on promoting Indonesia? Renu? Renu, hi, can you hear me?
Renu with her. Let's move on to the next discussion point meanwhile.
Okay, so Mr. Anand, why don't you share your plans for promoting MICE wedding and films in Mauritius?
Okay, so the good news is that MICE is possible, weddings are possible even now. What the government has allowed is that if somebody takes, let's say there are 150 or 200 guests for a wedding, they can charter an aircraft. The government will give permission for the charter to land. You land and you go to one resort. You book the resort on exclusivity, and you stay there for 3 or 4 days. You're not allowed to get out of the resort. You have all your functions in the resort, and you take the same plane and come back. So MICE and weddings is open even now. There's no restriction on that. The only restriction is that from the airport you go to the resort, and from the resort you go back to the airport. You can't go anywhere else. But even the resorts, they are so big. Hitasha, you've traveled, you've seen how the resorts are.
Absolutely.
So it's not a problem at all. And as far as films are concerned, there is a very good policy, rebate policy for people who film in Mauritius. That the rebate, depending on the amount spent in US dollars, could go up to about 40% of the cost incurred in Mauritius. And a lot of films are shot in Mauritius. A lot of films are already planned in Mauritius because we are actively engaging with the film industry in India. And by film industry, I mean not only the one in Bombay, but across other states as well. Because the South film industries, and there is the film industry in Calcutta, there is the Bhojpuri film industry, the Punjabi film industry. So everyone is eligible for incentives, but the only thing is we are not allowing any film shooting at this time because film shooting, social distancing is not possible. And you cannot shoot only in the hotel, you have to go out and shoot at various locations. But yes, as soon as it starts, I mean, there are a few projects lined up, and we welcome the film producers, directors to come and shoot in Mauritius. So we are just waiting for the international border to open up.
Sure. So do we have Renu here? Maybe we can just ask a similar question to her once again.
Yeah, Hitasha, I'm there.
Okay, so my question for you is that why don't you share your promotional plans in the coming year, and also tell us more about the MICE wedding and films happening at Indonesia?
Hitasha, we are working on certain incentive policies for the next year. We will be focusing on weddings, events, and the country is already under planning and monitoring stage. Once it is decided to open the international borders, there would be certain SOPs in place, and of course, we're looking for MICE and weddings as well for the next year.
And what are your plans if we talk about, the coming next 1 year? What are you planning in terms of promotions?
We are, once the situation both at the source country as well as at the destination is conducive to travel, we shall work on programs to attract travelers to wonderful Indonesia. We shall plan more visibility on the digital and the social media platforms, engaging with customers, and of course the co-op activities with our trade partners as well.
All right. And so this is like an open thing for all of you. So maybe, if you could share, if you would kind of share some, put in some more light as to what are your plans and strategies being made to create positivity so that the inbound, starts coming in a few months. Mr. Ora, maybe we can have an answer from your side.
You see, generally Ministry of Tourism do get the plan approved for overseas marketing, and which is being circulated to our all offices overseas. We have 8 offices at the moment, So, but thing is, the plan is there in the paper. Now its implementation is very difficult everywhere, and our main source market, as you know, US, UK, Germany, Italy, France, everywhere situation is very bad. And as Vivek said, that the border is not open. Even within European Union also, some countries are not open. So traveling to India or traveling to Mauritius or Indonesia is still far away. So, but thing is, as I rightly said, our office, we do have intermediate social media and Instagram promoting unknown and lesser known destinations, and interactive session. Ministry of Tourism having a lot of webinars on Dekho Apna Desh, which is which is really gone, of course, global. If you see the number of people logging in from different part of the world to know the places, and it's on almost every second or third day. So that way, India is in news. And as I told you, I have been to in Frankfurt. I have traveled all these places for this promotional tourism purpose, and industry people know me. India is everybody's bucket list. If you ask me, any white or any person, oh, India, we would love to go. And now the thing comes how your marketing tools are working. As particularly the personal touch, the people who goes on sales calls to any places. I worked in overseas offices, 3 offices for about 10 and 11 years. And if you see the number from all these three places has grown remarkably. It's not my endeavor only, but because the positivity and the pursuance I or the trade have. I will just tell you, during my stay in 14 to 17 in Toronto and as well as US, if you see the tourism data, particularly Canada, when I went there in 2014, it was 1.5 lakh. And when I left in 2017, it's gone about 3.22 lakhs, almost double, you can say. And you can see the 3 flights Air Canada directly started. So my question is, India is so attractive for anybody, and all my tour operator and hotelier knows. Okay, maybe backpackers or Israelis, soldier, anybody, but people wants to come to India. And if we have the right marketing approach, I'm telling you, and like connectivity is leave it, but and the services on the ground, as you know, that ITC has already had some international link for the standardization of their services, as well as with ICMR. So that sort of things is creating positive impact for India and for the hospitality industry. Let's see, wait for maybe another 2-3 months. And as in India, I'm telling you, I think I was listening to somebody in the television that 80% of the Indian will have corona COVID-19 in their body, and they will develop the antibody. There is no, I think some doctors said, like still we are in a premature stage, and we will develop the antibody within ourselves, and thing will definitely settle. So just wait for another few months, and we should be positive in our approach all across. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Renu, why don't you share something more about, films being shot at Indonesia?
Renu, can you hear us, please?
So I think we have again lost her.
Okay, fair enough. Not a problem. Mr.
Okay, so-
Sarkar, probably, Hitasha, you can ask Mr. Sarkar to give inputs on the same question.
Yeah, why not? So why don't you share some inputs about filming here in India?
This is to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the moment, I think our film industry is opening up with limited, shooting permissions. It is happening in Bombay and other cities for the new serials. It is already in the line, and the shootings have already been started within India. And on behalf of the IATO and Ministry of Tourism, we are working together on some promotional activities, which is the 2.0 is the Incredible India promotions. And in that, the new website is also getting ready before we start again. That is going to be released post-COVID promotions. And in that, there are a lot of work are being done, and the new strategy for content writing and social media connectivity, and the new programs and the destinations unnoticed, and we are going to prepare certain areas where very less people visit. So creating some niche products, and also will work out on some areas where people can see virtually visiting the site, and then create the interest and take a decision to travel to India. These are the one, and then the MICE and meetings are going to take place. All is in the pipeline, and of course, the people of our country, they are looking forward to travel abroad. But unless the borders are open up, it is very difficult. And same way, the shooting to take place in various countries, they have to come out with the welcoming message that we are ready, and the permissions are granted to shoot, then only it is possible. So I feel that it is some time, it will take some time to begin with, and we have to wait and watch for the SOPs on these areas, these guidelines. Then I think it will be open up, and it is a good initiative by the government that they are trying to open up slowly. And as rightly mentioned, lockdown 2 is ready, but still there are so many restrictions are there, because we have to restrict the spreading, because we are almost in stage 3 and stage 4 should not happen. So unless we have some positive note on it, we have to showcase to the world that India has contained. Unless it is contained, people to visit India and spend time is very, very difficult. Therefore, it is very important that we all behave, responsibly, and take it forward, not only for the tourism purpose, but also on the economic front, that everybody has to work and earn for themselves. So it is very important that we all have to join together and fight it out. Thank you.
All right, so I just pass it on to Tarandeep now. So you just take it forward.
Thank you, Hidasha. I think there was a lot of insights by Mr. Ora, Mr. Sarkar, and also for the respective countries by Renu and Mr. Anand. Now, I would just say that, there are some questions which the panel, the participants have, which we will take it up with the esteemed panel for today. But, I would just say that even if there's a lot of turbulence right now, there's a lot of turbulence and there's a lot of challenges right now in terms of restrictions, which is the way to go. It is still to be seen in terms of normalcy, which will slowly and steadily set in. It will take some time, so slowly, steadily, we will set into that normalcy mode for sure, right? But then I think with the support of the government and with all the efforts which every tourism board is doing and the government is doing, and the associations like IATO are doing, they're making a lot of efforts day in and day out to actually, which Mr. Sarkar just said, to showcase to the world that we are fine. So that will only happen once the domestic tourism starts building up slowly and steadily. And I think I'm very happy to share with you some things which, some general managers were telling me yesterday in Rajasthan resorts and JW Marriott Mussoorie. There are bookings there. So people are driving to those destinations because it is, everybody has been in the house premises, 4 walls for almost 3 to 4 months now. So people are driving and there are bookings in JW Marriott Mussoorie, and so are the, resorts in, I would say, Rajasthan are building up. And similarly, other states would also be showing some light. So once domestic tourism shows some positivity, I think that is a way to showcase to the world. Yes, we are ready. We have our SOPs in place and we are geared up for welcoming the inbound tourism in times to come. So right now, when we did this episode, we know that there is some time for us to build on it. But once we come back with the same panel in October and November, I think there'll be a lot of case studies to share and a lot of positivity further on. I'm very, very sure on that, right? So over to Ashish. Ashish, you can just take up the questions which have come in the chat.
Yeah, certainly. So really, I'm very thankful to the entire panel for enlightening us on the tourism part. I'm sure, once this COVID-19 situation starts settling down, tourism is going to bounce back even stronger than it used to be earlier. And we would still have, once again, have the same good old golden days with the hotels and tourism business. So, well, one important question here comes is that, somebody feels here that Jakarta somehow is not being promoted as much as the potential it has. So, Renu, if you can throw some light on that, please. Renu? Oh, I guess she is still not around.
She's there. She's there.
Okay.
Renu ma'am, if you can unmute yourself and speak.
Let's pass on to the next question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please,
Yeah, go ahead,
please.
Yeah.
Good to hear you. Yes.
Yeah, actually, there is a connectivity issue here.
No problem, no problem. You can just, you heard the question, right? Which Ashish just posed?
No, can you please repeat it?
Okay, so one of the participants with us, they feel that Jakarta has a lot of potential, but it's not promoted as a destination, tourism destination equivalent to its potential. So can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, we have been very active in promoting, as we all know, Indonesia is like most of us know as Bali only, but the ministry and we are taking many efforts like to promote Indonesia beyond Bali. There are very many beautiful places in Jakarta, if you like, and at a driving distance, you know, at Thousand Islands if you go, or Bandung for that matter. There are many, many beautiful places around Jakarta as well, and the whole of Indonesia, if you talk of, as we all know, there are around more than 17,500 islands in Indonesia, out of which only 6,000 are inhabited, out of which, like, if you talk of, it's a largest archipelago. And there are many places that will interest the Indian tourist. And we have been very active on this, on the social medias or the digital platforms for to our travelers, like, to educate them for luring them to visit the other places as well, that is beyond Bali.
Well, thank you very much for enlightening this. And I believe, you know, as it has been very rightly highlighted, that adventure tourism is going to come up in a very strong manner. We can also see some other kind of tourism, you know, so MICE would definitely grow up eventually. Events and weddings might take some time because we still need to take care of some social distancing. So overall, I mean, I believe, you know, we really can see a very golden time coming ahead once the COVID starts settling down, and tourism and hospitality will bounce back even stronger than it has to be, you know. So
we can request the participants, in case they have any questions, they can take it up. Any participant, you know, who has a question?
I can see one question from Mr. Aman Devan. Sir, I am unmuting you. If you can take your question, please. Mr. Aman Devan.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So actually, my question is, it's a bit unrelated to the topic here, though it is about outbound education travel. And so many students that are going for tourism, I mean, for education abroad this year. So I wanted to know, how is the situation in terms of visa procedures or quarantine in that country, or even the travel opening up from India, especially, although I'm not talking about Indonesia and Mauritius here, but I'm talking about UK and Germany or Canada, these kind of countries. So any sort of, you know, if you can throw some light on that, because a lot of students are really in this cloud of uncertainty where they have got admissions and they haven't. I'm sorry, it's still unrelated to the subject, but if you can just throw light on that, that will be very useful.
Sure. So I think Mr. Ora can, you know, throw light on this. Mr. Ora? Mr. Anil Ora?
Yeah, I'm here.
So basically, yeah, you heard the question, sir, right?
No, I'm just a little bit of, I was signing a little bit, my colleague came. So just tell me repeat the question, please.
Yeah, so hi, Mr. Ora, this is Aman Devan here. So my question is slightly unrelated to the subject here, but it's about travel for education. So many students who have got admissions in, you know, for further education or universities in, let's say, UK or Germany or Australia or Canada are, you know, in a cloud of uncertainty as to what are the visa procedures right now, when are the visa offices opening up, what is the quarantine in that specific country, and other kind of travel plans that they should make. So any idea how it's going to pan out for students who will be traveling to these countries, because a lot of them have confirmed admissions?
Sure. Aman, thing is, you see, the best advisor in this regard is the embassies, where you had enrolled. So embassies, travel advisories and embassies, they have a lot of embassy has their education section, just like commerce section, education section. They are the right person to tell you exact thing, because as the Ministry of Tourism, we directly don't deal. There is a division in MEA also, a Ministry for External Affairs, for the students going overseas for studies. So you can see the mea.gov.in, the website. There must be some, or you can ask the country-specific joint secretary in that MEA division. So you can get both the information from both the foreign ministries, and you can advise your children or your students. And as you know that because again the flying and staying and all things are closed. So at the moment you have to care about your money, what you have deposited. So that is the most important thing, because whether you are able to go and join or not, and you are almost fit. So please go to that website, and I think embassies are very prompt, so that you can ask them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Girish Bindra has a question. Dheeraj, you can just unmute him.
I think he is not here right now with us.
Okay.
Girish is there.
He's not there. Okay, so Kishore Bisht also has raised his hand, so we can unmute him.
Sure.
So Mr. Kishore Bisht, you can ask your question, please.
I think Taran, we don't have him also here.
Okay, no problem.
Mr. Deepak Sharma, you have a question. I have unmuted you. You can please ask your question. Mr. Deepak Sharma.
Hello, Mr. Ora. How are you? Well, it's not a question though. It's just a suggestion because I myself has been associated with promoting destinations in last couple of years. It's just a suggestion through you. I want to put it across to Government of India, since I see a lot of opportunity for domestic tourism here. It is just a suggestion that on the lines of Sikkim, as we move forward in new normal and we move ahead with the unlock phase this country, it's just a suggestion that why don't we plan to open cluster of states instead of opening entire section or entire country for travel. Like if you see our corona effect is only with some states, and that 2 states have 86% of cases. Rest all is open. So just for 4 or 5 states, we can't, keep the country on hold. So my idea is just a suggestion. If we try and open cluster of states, like for example, J&K, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, Rajasthan, and Delhi NCR. So your travel with new normal, including travel agents, through air or by road. Why I'm saying through air or by road, because then only you can try and control corona spread as well. And this travel should include a travel agent voucher or book through a travel agent, just like on the lines of Sikkim. At least one segment on one sector will start moving and using hotels and tour operators.
I think Deepakji, I think it's right that that 80% of our this COVID is confined to the 8 states or something, and definitely Sikkim and other places are very less effective on this COVID. So I think Ministry of Tourism, as well as I think IATO Sarkar Sahab will definitely give some light, because again it depends on the state. Ministry of Tourism definitely suggest, but the implementation and opening and closing and earmarking the area where to go, where not to go, that all depends on the states. Just like as I told you, the Uttarakhand is not allowing so far the tourists from Delhi or tourists from Punjab. So that state directive is also very important in this regard. Definitely, like Jammu Kashmir, other places. But one more thing, Deepakji, as you pointed out, if you see our webinar, what the ministry has done so far, maybe about 50, all these places what it shows, that less COVID and unknown places. So that way people will be traveling in that areas, and we are calling it driving holidays, because people will definitely not go try to take the train or by air, but they can go by driving husband, wife, and one kid or two kids to 3-4 hours to maybe somewhere, not in Simla, which is crowded, go to some other small Kosauli or unknown places. So that thing people will go, but at the moment, as overall, again, there are some phobia, restriction of movement, like Rajasthan sometimes opening the border, sometimes closing, and every second day there are new things are coming up. So people are still not very settled, and as you know, this because this hot season, people love to go to mountains, but still there are some final, order between or understanding between the states and the government. So that we have to, government, Mr. Sarkar may take up with the minister or secretary, like that some directives should go that the place where no COVID or zero COVID or green zone, and we should push first to get the domestic tourists. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Girish Bindra, you can ask your question, please.
I have a question for Vivek Anand for Mauritius Tourism. Of course, I've been with Vivek to Mauritius, and it's a beautiful country, and you're taken there for a golf event. Vivek, just let me know, once we were talking about the wedding and MICE, like in India today, we cannot have more than 50 packs for a wedding. Is there any restriction like that there? Because if I was thinking of doing an external meeting with about 75 to 80 people. So is that possible if we do it now, with keeping the banquets and the social distancing in mind? Will there be any issues?
Girish, it is very much possible. It is very much possible, but you will have to charter a plane, take permission from the Mauritius government and go by charter, because there are no commercial flights available.
Okay, so if we do charter a plane, then hotels there is possible. There's no hassle at all.
Yes, but you cannot leave the hotel. As of now, you will have to stay in the same hotel for 3 days, 4 days, whatever number of days you are, from airport to hotel and hotel to airport. But in the hotel, you can do whatever you like.
What about hotel to golf course?
Yeah, golf is allowed. If the golf course belongs to the same hotel, for example, you stayed at Heritage Golf Club, you can play golf there.
Super. So then one should look at planning it that way, that you go and stay at a hotel which has a golf course with it, and then one can do a conference plus do an event in the end of the conference.
Yeah, well, you stayed at one of the best. You know it already.
Okay, so we'll go back and stay at the best. Thanks a lot, Vivek.
Thanks, Girish. Thank you.
Anybody has any further questions? So I guess
we have taken all.
So I guess we move on to the next capsule for the next 5 minutes only, wherein we will, Dheeraj will take us through on the value adds which HHC can provide in terms of digital marketing for all the HHC members from here on. Over to you, Dheeraj.
Yeah, so very happy morning to all of you, and this is an exclusive offer I would like to talk about, and this is for all our HHC members. Everyone is now aware of the brand name Happy Hotelier Club. We call it as HHC. So during the Corona period, HHC has emerged as a premium and renowned name in hospitality and travel industry. The reason behind the HHC success is in no time is simply some great marketing strategies and its strong IT backend team. We feel proud and are happy to share our expertise with our members, following our few platforms on which HHC can support our members at a very nominal cost to boost their customer acquisition. Our team can help you revamp your website and to make it up to date to face this tough time. Our team can also help you establish yourself on Google's first page, better known as SEO, that is search engine optimization. Our team will be happy to share their best social media practices to be used to take care of your hotel or any related platform. Our team can also help running a campaign to regenerate and generate leads online, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. And the most important factor is we will also be happy to help all the hotels to generate new database to promote their delivery services in the local area. We have a special designed local data enhancement system using which we can help all the facilities generating a lot of leads within the vicinity of that particular hotel. So this is an exclusive offer I would like to tell, and this is only available for HHC members. So over to you, Taran, if you can just take it from here. And if you can.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. So I would say that this episode was also very, very engaging with a lot of beautiful inputs from all our panel speakers, throwing a lot of light on various facets, whether it is countries like Indonesia or Mauritius, but most importantly, talking about domestic tourism, how we'll be building in so that the inbound tourism can be enhanced in terms of I would say the pillars. So domestic tourism will really take the next step forward, and we have to build on that till the inbound gets confidence to step into our country. We heard about what Indonesia is doing, what Mauritius is doing, what the government is doing, which Mr. Ora really reflected in, all these steps which they are taking, the SOPs and the monuments and the, national parks, what is happening. And Mr. Sarkar, of course, gave a huge, I would say, deep insight into what the association is doing in collaboration with the government and how they're forecasting the tourists in the coming times. I think there is a lot of things which we have to do, which is still in the pipeline, which is being built up. Normalcy will be set in times to come. It's not, I think, very close, but then we need to keep working on it, which is the beauty of the industry right now, because we are very resilient as an industry. So I think we are all working in very, very close quarters with each other. So I think this will come back in few months to go. Things will be very, very different. As results have already been, showing with resorts which are slowly and steadily opening up. Travel has started happening, and now today, Mr. Bindra asking about not a FAM, but activity which he wants to do, a meeting, a small MICE activity which he wants to do in another country. So I think things are happening because people are wanting to move up the ladder and see what is happening so that the normalcy comes in very soon. I think this is a way to look at. So before we move towards a closure, I would request everyone to know more about membership. And we also wanted to announce about our next episode, which is going to be on human resource management and hospitality. Of course, throwing more positivity around it with all the layoffs and sackings happening. There's still a lot of positivity there because we can look at what skill developments we are doing. Are we doing or not doing? If we are not doing, then we can develop on it. We can work on various arenas which are still untapped, as an individual in the, I would say in the space of hospitality. So there'll be a lot of experts who will be talking about it, and we will actually try to throw a different dimension on it. So we look forward to our next episode, and we look forward to all your participation on 7th of July, which happens to be next Tuesday. Till then, I would like to thank the panel, and I would like to thank our esteemed participants who spent a lot of time invested in us for our episode today. And for all the membership benefits, you can call us at this number or email it to us on info@happyhotelierclub.com. We would be very, very happy to assist you.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. Take care and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.